The morning was already heavy with heat when Cassandra Miller stepped out of her unmarked vehicle, dressed in a simple navy suit and carrying nothing but a slim leather folder. It was her first official day on the job, but she had chosen not to arrive with sirens or security. She didn't need them. She wasn't there to impress. She was there to lead. It was a city still trying to find its way, grappling with the scars of fractured community trust, racial tension, and the ghosts of policing gone wrong. Appointing Cassandra, a black woman with 2 decades of law enforcement experience, as the new chief of police was not just a departmental decision, it was a message, a shift, a chance. She parked a block away from the station, partly out of habit, partly because walking those last few steps helped her feel grounded. The streets were familiar. She'd grown up just 15 minutes from here. These sidewalks had known her as a child, a cadet, a sergeant, and now, as chief, the squad car was parked illegally, right across the crosswalk, engines still running, music playing low. Cassandra didn't recognize it at first, but her eyes, trained and sharp, picked up the details. She approached not as a superior, not yet, but as any concerned citizen would. A white male officer stood by the car, leaning casually against it, sipping from a coffee cup. His sunglasses masked his eyes, but not his posture. He didn't see her as she approached, or perhaps, more accurately, he didn't register her as someone who mattered. "Officer," she said evenly, "you're parked in a pedestrian zone." He didn't turn. "Yeah, and I'd advise you, move it. You're blocking the crosswalk." Only now did he glance her way briefly, dismissively. "Who are you supposed to be? Meter maid?" Her tone didn't change. "I'm with the department." That triggered something. He took a slow step forward, close enough that she could smell the stale coffee and ego coming off his breath. "Look, lady, I don't take orders from civilians. Move along." Her face didn't flinch, but her heart beat steadily, tightly, as it always did in moments like this. Not from fear, from the repetition of it, the way so many men like him believed that authority had a look and that she didn't fit it. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "I suggest you think carefully about how you're speaking to me." He chuckled. "What? Are you going to report me?" And then, as if to solidify his disdain without warning, without hesitation, he spat, right at her feet, a thick line of spit hitting the pavement between them like a final insult. It wasn't the first time a man tried to humiliate her. It wouldn't be the last, but even then, she didn't break. She looked down, then up, then said, coolly, "What's your badge number?" That got his attention. There was a pause brief, but telling he looked at her closer now. There was something in her stance he hadn't noticed before. A calm that didn't come from submission but command. Before he could answer, a voice crackled through his radio. "All units, stand by for arrival of incoming command." Her eyes met his. "I believe they're calling me." She walked past him, not in anger, not in haste, but in full possession of herself. And for the first time, he moved aside not because she asked, but because he felt it, the weight of who she was, even if he didn't know her name yet. Inside the station, the reception was mixed. A few knew her from the State Academy. A few recognized her from press releases. Most only knew there was someone new coming in, and that she didn't come up through their ranks. But she didn't need validation. She came to serve, not to be liked. 10 minutes later, the officers were called into the briefing room. Rows of uniforms, some stiff with curiosity, others slouched with skepticism. Cassandra entered with the mayor and deputy commissioner at her side. She stepped forward, nodded once, and spoke. "Good morning, I'm Cassandra Miller. As of today, I'm your new chief of police." The room stilled. She scanned the crowd and saw him. The officer, third row left. His posture had changed. His shoulders stiff, his jaw set tight. He wasn't leaning anymore. "I've worked in law enforcement for over 20 years. Patrol investigations, internal affairs. I didn't come here to prove anything. I came here to work. I came here to fix what's broken. And if you're not ready to be part of that, I suggest you step aside now." No one moved. But the silence was louder than anything spoken. She continued, "We are not just enforcers of the law, we are servants of the people, and no servant spits on the people they're sworn to protect." The words hung in the air, deliberate, sharp, surgical. His face flushed. She didn't name him, she didn't need to, but the message was unmistakable. After the meeting, she returned to her office, an old corner room still cluttered with the belongings of her predecessor. As she stood by the window, her assistant knocked gently, then entered with a file. "Chief Officer Brennan would like to speak with you." She didn't look up right away. She let the pause linger, then let him wait. She wasn't cruel, but she understood power. Not as control, but as balance. And for once, the balance was shifting. Outside, Officer Brennan sat on the bench, staring at his boots. The spit now just a memory burned into pavement and into consequence. The door creaked softly as Officer Brennan stepped inside. His hat was in his hand, and his voice, once arrogant and brash, was now a whisper trying to find its way through guilt. "Chief Miller," he said. Cassandra looked up from her desk. She had taken her time settling in, replacing the faded portraits on the wall, removing the cluttered nameplate, opening the windows to let in fresh air. Her leadership would not be about show. It would be about clarity, structure, purpose. "Yes," she replied calmly. He cleared his throat, eyes darting between her face and the floor. "I wanted to speak about what happened this morning." She didn't nod, didn't offer him comfort or cues, just waited. The silence made him uncomfortable, but she wasn't there to ease his discomfort. "I didn't know who you were," he finally said. "That's clear," she answered. "I mean, I didn't mean to," he started, then stopped. The words weren't there, not the right ones at least. Because how do you explain away the reflex to spit at someone, simply because you assumed they were beneath you? "It's not about whether you knew who I was," she said, her voice steady but razor sharp. "It's about the fact that it didn't matter who I was." Brennan looked up at her, shame creeping into the space between his eyebrows. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. "You saw a black woman standing in a place you didn't think she belonged," Cassandra continued. "So you spit. Not because of anything I said, not because I threatened you. You did it because, to you, that moment didn't require respect." He took a shaky breath. "You're right. The confession was hollow, not because it lacked honesty, but because it came after consequence." Cassandra had seen that kind of remorse before inside interrogation rooms, courtrooms, disciplinary hearings. It wasn't accountability that moved most people. It was exposure. "I've requested an internal review of your record," she said. "I want to know if what I experienced was a one-time lapse in judgment or part of a pattern." His shoulders dropped. There it was, real fear, not of punishment, but of reckoning. "I've served on this force for 10 years, he said quietly. "And in those 10 years, how many people have you dismissed without cause?" she asked. "How many did you talk down to, threaten with your badge, ignore because they didn't look like they mattered?" "I don't know. You should," she replied, "because I intend to find out." The silence stretched again. "I'm not here to humiliate you, Officer Brennan. I'm here to rebuild a department that's lost the public's trust. But that starts with knowing who's wearing the badge." He nodded, eyes lowered, then turned to leave. Just before he reached the door, she said, "If I weren't the chief, if I had stayed silent, would you have reported what you did?" He stopped, hand on the handle. "No, ma'am," he admitted. And that, she knew, was the truest thing he'd said all day. After he left, she sat still for a long while. Not angry, not triumphant, just aware. Aware of the distance she had traveled, not just in rank, but in resilience. There had been so many moments when she could have turned away from this path. The days when her voice was overlooked in meetings, the nights she was mistaken for a civilian in her own precinct, the whispers of affirmative action behind her promotions. But she stayed, not for glory, not for power, but because she knew what it meant for a young black girl to walk past the station and see someone like her inside, leading, surviving, changing the rules by refusing to be broken by them. Over the weeks that followed, the station began to change. It wasn't immediate. The resistance was subtle at first: cold shoulders in the locker room, hesitation during briefings. But Cassandra didn't shrink. She didn't lash out either. She led, with consistency, with fairness, and with a resolve that came not from trying to prove her worth, but from already knowing it. She made it clear that misconduct wouldn't be buried, that excessive force complaints wouldn't be ignored, that every officer, regardless of color, gender, or rank, would be held to the same standard. And slowly, the department began to listen. Not everyone stayed. A few transferred out. Some were pushed out. But those who remained started to see something they hadn't in a long time: integrity at the top. One afternoon, nearly a month after that first encounter, Cassandra found a small envelope on her desk. Inside was a handwritten note. "Chief Miller, I've never apologized to a black woman in my life. Not because I never should have, but because I never thought I needed to. That day, I learned I was wrong. About you, about myself, about what this badge is supposed to mean. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a second chance to earn back what I didn't know I'd lost." Officer Brennan, she didn't respond right away. Not because she didn't care, but because change doesn't live in letters, it lives in actions. Time would tell who he really was. But even so, something about the note stayed with her. Not as validation, but as proof. Proof that transformation, however uncomfortable, was possible. That standing your ground with grace could do more than just expose injustice. It could invite redemption. Cassandra Miller didn't become police chief to make history. She became chief because she refused to be erased from it. And in the end, the man who spat at her didn't just learn who she was. He learned who he wasn't. And maybe, just maybe, who he could still become.